All right, and bringing us up to speed on this and helping us further out with all this is Anthony Rieber from Newsday. He joins us now on the telephone. Anthony, how you doing tonight?
Terrific. How are you guys?
Doing well, doing well. Now, Alex Rodriguez, the big story this week, obviously, as steroid always seems to be around this time of year. But A-Rod, a little bit different. He is the great white knight of the steroid era until now, thought to be the clean one, thought to be the one everyone should turn to and could turn to. My question to you is, were you surprised at all at this report?
No.
No.
Oh, you want more? No, I wasn't surprised only because I have a cynical nature. It's not because of any information I had about Alex or any inkling I had that he had done something wrong. I just am cynical by nature, and I think this era has made me more cynical. So if it turns out to be anyone, and I'm not going to name names, I'm not going to say if it's this guy or that guy because I think that's unfair, but if there's a story tomorrow that so-and-so, who you think is clean, did it, I will not be shocked, and I just can't be shocked anymore.
Anthony, I mean, at this point, can we think that anyone isn't doing it? I mean, don't you just start after believing, you know what, everyone is somehow either juiced up or taking some kind of unfair advantage?
No, I don't think that's fair to say. I just think that it was widespread. It's probably less so now because of the testing. The fear of getting caught is a powerful motivator. But do I think players are still doing it? Yes. Do I think it's probably more than we know? Yes, since it seems kind of unlikely to me that the only players who get caught are middle relievers and backup infielders. And, so if you're someone who wants to use steroids or use HGH, you're going to now find the thing that they don't test for, which, of course, HGH they don't test for, but there are also designer steroids that won't be detected. And also the testing program, a player might go an entire season without being tested, or they might be tested at times when they can sort of plan, like, you don't know when it's coming, but you know it's not coming that often. I don't think that the testing system is foolproof. So, there's a great reward to being a major league player who hits 30 home runs, 40 home runs, great financial reward, fame, all that kind of stuff. So I think there are still guys doing it and getting away with it.
Where do you stand on having the rest of the list, the rest of the 103 players? Do you think that should be revealed? And probably if it is revealed, it would lighten the burden on A-Rod a little bit. But do you think for the good of the game those should be revealed? Or do you stand that these names should have never been revealed and it should have been, thrown out right after MLB did their study?
Well, of course it should have been thrown out. I mean, that was the agreement. The union screwed up. I don't know to the degree which they had the opportunity, if it was a week, if it was 5 minutes, if it was a month, but they should have destroyed those records whenever they had the chance. If it was my union that I'm a member of that did that, I would be really ticked off. Having said that, if I didn't cheat, I wouldn't have anything to worry about. So it's like the 104 guys who may be outed at some point, A-Rod and 103 of his friends, they can be upset with their union, but of course the ultimate blame lies with them for doing it in the first place. So, to answer your question about is it good for baseball, I don't think it matters. I don't think it's bad for baseball. I don't think it's good for baseball. It'll be something that will pour over for a few weeks or days and months, even. The Mitchell report was like that. As Derek Jeter said the other day here in Tampa, the Mitchell report was supposed to be the end-all, and that was it. We were going to move forward. Now we've got this list. So eventually this list will probably come out. There are very good investigative reporters like Selena Roberts out there who are going to try and find this out. The government has it. If they are allowed to leak it, our government is not good at keeping secrets. So it'll get out there. Some judge's clerk is sitting there with it on his desktop or her desktop. So it's almost inevitable that these names will get out. I don't think it's either good or bad for baseball. I don't. Let me put it this way: if 103 more players are named, I think most people would think, okay, but what about the other 103? What about the other? It's just a cynical nature that we all, I think, have now about these things. We just can't know who's doing it and who's not doing it, who's done it in the past, who isn't, who didn't do it in the past. We just never know. So, release the list because I'm curious, but that doesn't really help baseball.
What does this say about the Mitchell report? Because you said it with the Derek Jeter quote, the Mitchell report was supposed to be the be-all, end-all of the steroid era, but when such a prestigious list misses a player like Alex Rodriguez, it brings into question how good a job George Mitchell did and how valid that list is in terms of being the Bible on steroids. What do you think about that?
I got a couple of thoughts on that. George Mitchell has had a long and distinguished career as a statesman. Right now he's trying to broker Middle East peace. Good luck with that. But this is not going to go at the top of his resume, this report. And I've been, against what they produced since it came out in late 2007. But when Alex Rodriguez is named as someone who's used steroids, admitted to using them, and he's not on your list, that's like kind of being a murder investigator, and you miss Jeffrey Dahmer. Alex Rodriguez is the best player in the sport. Barry Bonds might have been a little better at the time that all the real steroid stuff was going on in the late 90s. But, Alex Rodriguez is the best player in the sport. Selena Roberts, who is a tremendous reporter, but is a reporter. She doesn't have subpoena power. She doesn't have the federal government backing her like Mitchell did. She found out that A-Rod failed the test. She had 4 sources, her and her, the other gentleman whose name escapes me, who bylined the story with her. They found out. So George Mitchell.
David Epstein.
Thank you. David Epstein couldn't find out that the best player in the sport took steroids. I mean, it's not even with all these guys, you have to say allegedly, if, whatever, but he admitted it. He took steroids. And George Mitchell couldn't find out. Now, George Mitchell had the federal government at his behest working for him, and that's how they got the information that they got. And that's completely wrong. It's completely against everything that our country stands for. A private industry, Major League Baseball, should not have the federal government working for it. The Mitchell report was a joke. It was a travesty. It was the players' rights were trampled on. It was incomplete. It was circumstantial evidence that, let me tell you, if you and I were ever dragged into court with some of the evidence that they had in the Mitchell report, the case would be thrown out in 5 seconds. This guy said he overheard a conversation with that guy, and they were talking about steroids. I mean, it was laughable. It was embarrassing, and baseball should be ashamed of itself.
What about A-Rod's apology? A lot of people have apologized and kind of in the court of public opinion not been given a free pass, but been treated a lot less harshly. Andy Pettitte comes to mind. Jason Giambi comes to mind. What do you think his apology on Monday night? I did not think he did such a bad job with it as others do, but what do you think his apology does to help his case or hurt it in the court of public opinion?
I think in general it helps it because people do want to forgive A-Rod. Is certainly a well-known figure. I don't think he's a much beloved figure even before this. I think he's certainly well-known enough. People probably don't realize, like if you're a very close fan of his or a very follow him like reporters do, like newspaper people and TV people do, you probably recognized where he was, what's the word I'm looking for, lying. But if you're a casual fan, if you're just someone who wants to see baseball, you probably believed he was being sincere about most things. So I think in the court of public opinion, the interview will help people giving him credit for coming clean, which, to me makes no sense because he didn't come clean. He admitted something after he was caught. But I think in general, yes, people will be willing to say, all right, he's just one more guy who did it. He's no worse than anybody else. He at least he didn't stonewall and make other people find out, more information about him. He at least gave some information. So I think in the court of public opinion it'll help him. But since he's not that popular to begin with, in my opinion, he didn't really have that far to fall. I don't think he's a sympathetic person. I think he comes off as a phony. He may be the greatest player ever, but I don't sense that there's a big section of the baseball fan populace that loves him. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, maybe you guys can tell me if you think he is beloved as a player like other players are.
No, certainly not.
Well, there you go.